With the upcoming release of iPhone 17, I've been seeing a lot of comments like this: Apple, it's okay to take a break, or they should stop doing yearly releases, and no point upgrading, which helped me realize iPhone releases just aren't exciting anymore. I mean, over a decade ago, there would be people in my class speculating about what the next model might be like, and when it was announced, people would kinda lose their minds over the new features or new design, and everyone wanted it so bad. I remember this one guy in my high school who bought the original iPhone. People would crowd around him in the hall just to get a look at it. Back then, iPhones just gave off this irresistible vibe that got people excited. But today, that appears to have worn off completely, and I think a big reason why has to do with the novelty of iPhone. In 2007, when Steve Jobs got on stage and introduced the original model, people lost their minds. I mean, I haven't experienced any other product release like it, because at the time, mobile devices were capable of pretty much one, two, maybe three things. For example, I had an iPod for music, a cell phone for texting and calling, and a Nintendo DS for video games. Some people had smartphones like a BlackBerry that let you check email and access stripped down versions of websites, but those phones were aimed at professionals and business people rather than the average consumer. And keep in mind, these devices weren't cheap. Cell phones could cost up to $300, while iPods cost anywhere up to $350, and handheld gaming consoles were about $150 to $250. So it wasn't uncommon to spend a total of $500 to $900 for all your mobile devices. That's why when iPhone was introduced, people were so impressed, not only because of its design, which looked way better than anything else out there, and its touchscreen interface, which made phones enjoyable to use for the first time, but also its capabilities. I mean, having a full-featured phone and iPod on one device was already a dream come true. Then Apple added a desktop-class internet browser that actually showed full websites instead of a crappy bare-bones version. And when the App Store came out the following year, it was over. There were parody videos online about iPhone being able to do anything you wanted, because it was such a strange concept that one device could be a phone, music player, internet communicator, game console, GPS navigator, and more. At the time, there was nothing else like it. iPhone was a completely novel product that had mass appeal across every single demographic. And this appeal resulted in some unique behavior. For example, there was so much anticipation for an iPhone release that customers would line up hours and sometimes days in advance. In 2008, when the 3G came out, a guy named Mark Ribier went viral for not only being first in line at a Dallas AT&T store by getting there 12 hours early, but also for this.
So how much would it cost to buy your position in the front of the line?
15 minutes before the 6 o'clock launch after others spent hours.
We've been here since 12:30.
And hours.
I'm in line for a friend.
Waiting patiently.
I guess we're going to water away from the cameras. How about that?
This woman rolled up with 16 grand in cash in hand.
7, 8.
And bought Mark's #1 spot in line for $800.
She gave me $800.
Money talks.
A worthwhile investment, she thought, because...
You know, somewhere on eBay, so it's all right.
Yet when the doors finally opened...
I'm first.
Yup, she was first, but maybe instead of stopping at the bank, she should have stopped to read the rules. Her plan to buy out the store? Sorry.
Can you buy more than one phone?
Unfortunately, we can only sell one per customer.
AT&T imposed a one phone per customer rule to make sure that there were enough to go around.
That's a serious package, folks. That is a serious package.
As for Mark and his $800 spot, turns out he didn't really need it. There were 3 people in his party and they only wanted to buy 2 phones.
Pleasure, we have a little signature leather case here.
So he's stocking up a phone with all the trimmings and the knowledge that there are some things
I don't think she was too happy with you.
I don't think she was, and on top of that, she didn't get a free phone.
that money can't buy.
iPhone releases had people buying spots in line and trying to buy out the stock of entire stores. And when iPhone X came out, a guy waited at a London Apple store for 3 days, which is something that's probably hard for us to imagine because there isn't much special about iPhone anymore. Android devices are just as capable, with some even offering unique features like Samsung's Space Zoom, Google's call screening, or Huawei's foldable displays. We've all become accustomed to, and many of you have likely grew up with, the technology that felt revolutionary back in 2007, but has since become the status quo, losing its novelty in the process. Another reason why we just aren't as excited about new iPhones anymore is because there's not much to be excited about. Like the comment at the beginning of the video said, for most people, there's no point in upgrading. Today, the smartphone market has completely matured, meaning all the improvements that we wanted, we've got. And there isn't much else Apple can do to improve the product. That's why for the last 6 years, iPhones have pretty much looked the same. And for the last 2 years, the headlining feature has been new buttons. The Action button in 2023 and Camera Control button in 2024. Compare this to the dramatic changes we saw in iPhone's early days. Going from the original model to the 3G in 2008 was huge. It had a completely new design. It was half the price, and it ran on the 3G network instead of Edge, which was 2 to 3 times faster. Then there was the iPhone 4 in 2010, which completely changed the game. Its design was not only super thin, but completely different from anything we saw before. And the Retina display felt like a magic trick, because for the first time, we couldn't see the individual pixels on the screen. And that was the beginning of FaceTime with the front-facing camera. Then the iPhone 5 in 2012 was a huge redesign yet again, becoming 18% thinner, 20% lighter, with a 14% larger display that let us fit another row of icons on the screen while still being comfortable to use one-handed. All those changes I just went through took place over a 5-year period. Now think back 5 years from today. That was iPhone 11, which had the same camera setup, same rear design, and almost the same front design as the current models. So when things hardly change from one year to the next, it isn't surprising that hype will die down and people just won't get as excited anymore. Steve Wozniak put it well back in 2017 when the iPhone 8 and 10 came out. He said, "I'm happy with my iPhone 8, which is the same as the iPhone 7, which is the same as the iPhone 6. I think a lot of users felt that way back then, and it's become even more pronounced today. But there's another factor that kills the hype for upcoming iPhones: leaks. In the early days, rumors about the next iPhone were few and far between, and leaked photos or specs almost never happened. That's why when photos of the iPhone 4 were leaked to Gizmodo, it was a major news story. An Apple software engineer was testing the device and accidentally left it in a bar. It was a mistake Apple rarely made, and it was the first time we got to see what an upcoming iPhone looked like before its release. But today, the opposite is true. There are countless leaks and rumors about upcoming iPhone models that often turn out to be true, so people aren't as likely to be surprised by its introduction. In fact, they may be disappointed, since everything new about the product has already been revealed through leaks. Actually, the iPhone 14 Pro is the most recent release that had a genuine surprise no one expected, and it reminded me of the early days of iPhone. Rumors had accurately predicted that the 14 Pro would have a camera cutout like many Android devices, instead of the notch. But what no one expected was how Apple would implement it. When they revealed the dynamic island, with the fluid animations and multitasking features, it was one of those magic moments that just feels less and less common these days. And that's largely due to iPhones becoming so popular that a rumor industry has developed. So despite Tim Cook saying in 2012 that Apple would, quote, double down on product secrecy, the opposite has happened. It became profitable to sell leaks to rumor outlets, so assembly line workers have become incentivized to sneak photos of parts or schematics for upcoming iPhones, which inevitably results in us being less excited since we're robbed of any surprises. So for all those reasons, that's probably why iPhone releases just don't feel exciting anymore. This is Greg with Apple Explained. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next video.